Oh. Look at this thing. The Sony 85mm F1.4 G Master. No, not you. The lens is called the G Master lens, so I'm gonna talk about lens, not the Grandmaster, right?
Okay.
Okay, fine, thank you. Before we jump into the review, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you that are supporting me through this channel. You are amazing, so thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for all the likes, the comments, and can you do anything else? Like, I don't know, but thank you anyways. And if you're watching me for the first time, then you might want to consider hitting that subscribe button because, you know, that'd be appreciated. But
Let's talk about this thing, shall we?
the build quality of this thing is just amazing. It is built like a, I don't know what, but it feels like a tank basically. And if you want to have this in your camera bag, you got to be prepared for some heavy lifting because this is heavy. The casing of the lens is made of some kind of composite material or some kind of like high quality plastic, but it's not made of metal. And I do know that some lenses are made of magnesium alloy. That just sounds so cool, you know, magnesium alloy. But this lens is not, and it has all the different functions that you would expect from a G Master lens, such as the aperture ring here. You have the AF/MF switch here on the side, and then the FN button so that you can control the lens and do like. The design of this thing is basically the same as all the other G Master prime lenses, and it looks really good, and it does feel as expensive as the lens actually is. The filter thread is 77mm, which is kind of big, but it's not that big. But the filters will be kind of expensive for this lens, and it is a lot bigger than the Batis 85, which has a filter thread of 67mm. The weight of this thing is 820 grams, and it basically feels like a small dumbbell. I mean, you can bring this into the gym and get some good pump, you know, impress on your friends. And if you compare it to the Samyang 85 F1.4, then this lens is actually 300 grams heavier than the Samyang. And it might not sound like a lot, but it does make a huge difference when you walk around with this for a whole shoot. So it's gonna be a really front heavy lens when you have it mounted to your camera. The focus ring feels good, but it doesn't feel as good as the 24mm G Master lens that I also did review on. And if you want to watch that video, you can check it out right here. But it is covered in this rugged rubber that I personally like, and it gives you this really precise feeling to the focus ring when you use it. It also has the weather sealing here in the back, which is a great thing because then you don't have to worry that anything is gonna get into your sensor when you're shooting in harsh weather such as rain or dusty environments or anything like that. The aperture ring is really smooth when you have it to declicked, and when you put it to clicked, then you get really good resistance between the different apertures, so you won't mistakenly like change the aperture when you are using the lens. The focusing distance is 85 centimeters, which is basically the same as all the other 85mm lenses that I've tried, except for the Samyang, which has like 90 centimeters, I think. So, what about the image performance then? Well, here's where it gets interesting. I did have some really high expectations of the image quality coming out of this lens because it's a G Master and all that, but I'm not actually as impressed as I thought I would be. I was expecting like super sharp, razor sharp images even at f1.4, and you do get that, but it did have some issues with chromatic aberration when you shot wide open. And it wasn't that much sharper than the Batis 85 when you shot it at 1.8. So yeah, I guess I was having like a little bit too high expectations on the lens. But it still creates some really, really good looking images. And I took this lens with me when I was out a couple of days ago, walking around in a field in the middle of nowhere, all by myself because I don't have any friends. And I decided to rig out my A7 III using this lens, and then I had my smartphone as the remote controller, and I set it to continuous shooting and basically just let it shoot for a while I was walking around there posing, trying to look this badass dude. The images came out really, really good, and the bokeh of this lens looks buttery smooth, as they say. The autofocus works great, even though it is a bit slow, especially if you compare it to the Batis 85, which is really, really fast. But then again, you have the wider aperture of this lens, so it's much more glass to move back and forth, but it still manages to nail the focus almost every time, and it works flawlessly with IAF as well. When it comes to the video performance, this lens produces a really like cinematic looking background when you're shooting wide open at f1.4, but the autofocus is quite loud and it actually is really, really slow when it comes to focusing in video mode. And it also lacks the optical steady shot, which is something that I think helps a lot when you're shooting like a lot of handheld B-roll and stuff like that. But then again, you get the 1.4 aperture of the lens that will give you a more blurred out background. So I guess there's like a small trade-off. So this lens does produce some really, really good looking images, but to be completely honest, I would not recommend you to buy this lens unless you have a pile of money that you just want to get rid of. And the reason for that is because there are some cheaper options on the market right now that you can buy that will give you basically the exact same image quality as this lens, such as the Samyang 85 f1.4 that I will do a review of really, really soon. And if you're more of a hybrid shooter and you want to have a lens that will work really good for video and photos, then I would definitely go for the Batis 85, which has the OSS and is a really, really fast lens. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this lens and if you think it's worth the money or if you think it's too expensive, because personally, I do think it is too expensive for the image quality that you get, especially if you compare what is on the market right now. If you liked the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up because it does help a lot. And if you haven't subscribed yet, that'd be really appreciated as well. Thank you for watching and, you know, have a good one. Until the next time we meet, eh? The filter thread is filtertråden. The filter thread here is 77 centimeters. Sorry about that, millimeters. The filter, I can't say that. Holy crap. The filter thread. Yes, when you are Swede and you try to speak English. The filter thread. God damn it. Okay. The filter thread. The filter thread is 77mm, which